And the hurt you're feeling, Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe the tears away. For the Father waits with open arms. God is calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Well, there's room enough in the house of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, just come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in.
Good morning, everybody. So good to see you here this morning. I'm Bev Spivey. If you haven't met me yet, I'm co-ministering here with my husband, Reverend Lawrence Palmer. We look forward to getting to know those of you we haven't met yet. And of course, our musicians are really ready to go again this morning under direction of James McCoy.
Thank you. Good morning. Very fortunate to have with us once again at the piano Mr. Peter Wallace, Mr. Orlando Machado at the drum set, and our featured soloist, you know her, Samantha Natalie Wallace. And all the songs today are from Faith Rivera.
Some of you may be familiar with Faith Rivera. We got to hear her and meet her in person. She was one of the featured soloists at the Unity Convention we just went to in Kansas City in June. So anyway, we look forward to that today. As we begin, let's remember what our yearly theme is. One humanity, many stories. As we've talked about all year long, it's come to our realization when we get to this place and this age on our spiritual path that indeed there is just one humanity and we're part of it, and each of us has gotten here by all kinds of different paths, but yet here we are, and we honor each other's story and each other's path as we came, and onward we go together as spiritual community. So welcome all of you on live stream this morning. Do feel part of our spiritual family right here. We're happy to have you join us. And for those that haven't seen our website yet or explored live stream, it's unitypompanobeach.org. Live stream is there all week with this service from Sunday, and then the next Sunday overwrites it. But there is a link there where you can click on the podcast of each Sunday sermon. Each lesson is there. There's a 20-minute clip on audio that you can always go back and look for several months. John Guerin is our wonderful volunteer who keeps everything up to date on the website. Thank you, John. And so as we celebrate August, being present. So let's just, all of us, bring our attention right here, right now, and be present in this moment together. Let's take this affirmation together. I live in the now, and divine understanding is active in me. And we remember our vision together. Centered in God, we create an ever-expanding spiritual community of one. And our mission statement, we are a spiritual beacon of inspiration, abundance, and enlightenment. And so let's just have a word of prayer together as we center ourselves, taking a breath, putting aside things in our mind, and centering in the present, here, now, to be our authentic selves, to come from our very best, to see the very best in others, to open our hearts and open our minds to the inspirations and the enjoyments of this day. We are here now, and so it is. Amen. And as we do every week, we share in a prayer together. So today it'll be the Lord's Prayer. Won't you join me praying this now? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. So let's stand now and sing together.
I consider this a unity standard. We've been singing it for years. It's called Use Me. It's a waltz, so keep that in mind.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me. As you so use me, oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands what they must do. Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new. God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you so use me. Oh God, I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
And not that you must, but if you're here for the first time, we'd love for you to raise your hand so we can greet you and put a brochure in your hand. Is anybody here for the very first time? Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here. This brochure will tell you about our Unity Center and the Unity Movement. And as you guys know, if you've been here for another service, at the back of Fellowship Hall is a table that is staffed by our ambassadors. One is Matthew and another is Rick that you just saw giving out the brochures. And they're there to answer questions about Unity. Anything you'd like to ask, if they don't know, they'll find out. So that ambassador table is at the back of Fellowship Hall. So welcome all of you. It's good to have you here. When we break for our greeting time here, we will have Sunday school next door. It's nice to have the kids back. I see Catherine, I see Julian. So we do have, albeit it is small, we do have teachers prepared every week for Sunday school. So everyone is welcome to come to fellowship. After every service, we have usually a very bountiful fellowship time from our volunteers who, in their service, make sandwiches and snacks to have every week. Once a month, it's a special treat to have David Hamilton on his own prepare a wonderful fellowship for us. And today is the week for that, so thank you so much, David, and thank all of you volunteers who bring in our food every week. So prayer is important here. We give a special time, a half hour before every service, so at 10:30, there is a room, the first room on the right, we call the prayer chapel. As you go into fellowship hall, you're welcome to go in there and have some quiet prayer time. It's staffed by one chaplain every Sunday morning who is there to pray with you or sit quietly with you if that's your preference. So take advantage of that. Afterwards, after every service, our chaplains will stand in the aisles and be available for positive unity affirmative prayer with you. If you haven't experienced that and are interested to learn that for yourself, stop by and have a chaplain pray with you. You don't need to have a crisis to have prayer with one of our chaplains, so take advantage of that. It is their gift and their service to us to hold us all in prayer every day. So we invite you to fill out prayer slips. They are blue. There's some in the chair backs. There's also some at the table in the narthex where the prayer chest is located. Put your prayer requests there. The chaplains attend to your prayer requests, and they are brought forward in the prayer chest as you see it brought up every Sunday when we have our meditation time. So take advantage of our prayer here. And now, some announcements. We've had a month of focus on membership, and today is the day for membership orientation. If you are interested in membership, please come to the orientation. If you're already a member and haven't ever come to an orientation, come, because we explain how Unity is organized, the ownership of Unity, the duties, responsibilities of the board and the ministers and members. So, and also the fun part is Cynthia Roberts, our LUT, shares all about our Unity history, which is interesting and fun. From our founder, Charles Fillmore, being carried off by Indians when he was a baby, right down through Myrtle's very miraculous healing. So come on out and hear the history and come to orientation. Now, because so many of you enjoy fellowship time afterwards, we're going to hold orientation here as close to 12:30 as we can. So I also want to point out, you can come to orientation and decide not to be a member. That's okay. The decision is made by you at the end of the day on Sundays. So anyway, to expedite everything so that those who are coming to orientation are here and ready to go, we have a table set for you in the back of Fellowship Hall where Lawrence and I and Cynthia and any board members will join you to eat. And we'd ask that everybody else give the orientation attendees first go at the fellowship table. So Cynthia Roberts will be at the door when we close, and this is Cynthia, when we close the service, and go with her and start the fellowship table, and we'll sit together then and enjoy our orientation day. Thursday night, back by popular demand, Lawrence and I weren't able to attend when Daniel Shimmick was here last month. I am told they had a fabulous, fantastic, and fun night. So Daniel is coming back again. He's Dee's brother. He is gifting us with this improv night, and we all like to have some laughing and joy in our week. So come on out. It's your opportunity to laugh and have a good time. Daniel is a wonderful, fun, and creative comedian. So come on out. That's Thursday night in Fellowship Hall at 7 o'clock. We have our third annual now, 3 times, running this SCE week for spiritual education enrichment with Unity classes that you get Unity credit for. There is a Unity curriculum. If you are planning to take more than one class, we invite you to take advantage of a discount, which is given for those who will also agree to volunteer and help us staff our week-long classes. There will be 4 classes every day, Monday through Friday, October 21st through the 25th. We'll lead off in the morning with Unity Prayer, taught by Reverend Luzette Rivera Diaz. Some of you know her. Next will be Cynthia, teaching all about interpretation. How do you read the Bible and interpret it metaphysically and in modern terms? That's an interesting course. In the afternoon, I will be teaching Jesus teachings. What is there about Jesus that some of you may be very surprised? The New Testament, as we call it, was formulated hundreds of years after Jesus. So we will be separating out our awareness and our knowledge and our understanding of Jesus' teachings. And Lawrence will finish up the day with metaphysics, Metaphysics 4. Unity is so big on metaphysics that we have 4 classes in it. So, yay, metaphysics. You need not have taken the others. Feel free to come on out for that. So give it some thought this week. If you're interested in taking more than one class and volunteering, then we will have a meeting next Sunday with all the volunteers. We'll eat together in the children's room at 12:15, and we'll work on assignments and who's going to be here when. And we will need you to register for your classes before Sunday so we can figure out the timing of when you'll be here. You need not pay in full right now, but we would appreciate your registration. Oh, Spirit wants to hold you. Okay. Harold got so involved in my announcements, he lost his place. Well, what we want to let you know is we have such a wonderful resource in our LUT, Cynthia. She is going to be leading off our month of September, which is on change. And she's going to be talking about embracing change for our 11 o'clock service, and then have a wonderful workshop 1 o'clock to 3. We hear about New Thought, and we're told we're a New Thought church. So You Are the New in New Thought will be her workshop. And then the week after that, we have Armand and Angelina coming. They'll be here on a Saturday night, September 7th, for a concert for $15. Please get that on your calendar. It's good music. And then the next day, on Sunday, they will be doing our Sunday service with music. You may remember them from 2 years ago, and they will have a native flute workshop. Lawrence and I will be here, but we're doing this as a kind of a special and a change of pace and exposure to some of the other goings-on in other Unity churches. So please stand and let's greet each other. And kids, it's time for Sunday school.
Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Right now, we need your presence near. Shower down your grace, oh, revive us again. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. The house is ready, every heart is prepared. Sit at the
Good morning. I'm Dina Shimmick, and I will be reading the daily word for today, which is world peace. I am doing my part for world peace. Over and over, we are told that world peace begins with peace in our hearts. That's very good news. It means I can contribute to world peace every day. I don't have to be a diplomat or a high-ranking government official to play a role in moving the planet towards peace. I only have to remember to choose peace in every situation. Peace is far more than refraining from physical violence. Peace is kinder thoughts and deeds. Peace is giving the benefit of the doubt. Peace is honesty and trust. Peace is even simple courtesy. Each time I see the face of God in another human being and treat the person accordingly, I contribute to world peace. And the scripture today comes from Colossians 13:15. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in the one body, and be thankful.
And right as the prayer chest comes forward, we'd like to begin a time of prayer and meditation by singing together, I'm at peace.
I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, I am calm, I am still, I am doing God's will, I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, and I dwell in the presence of the Lord. I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, I am calm, I am still, I am doing God's will. I am at peace, I am at peace, I am one with the Spirit, and I dwell in the presence of the Lord. And I dwell in the presence of the Lord.
And as we honor this time together in meditation, I invite you to close your eyes and simply relax into this moment, starting with your breath. Inhaling deeply and exhaling freely. Knowing you are safe in this time, in this place, to be fully present. Distancing yourself from any thoughts or feelings that distance you from this very present moment. As you continue to focus on your breath, knowing that each moment you are fully present, you are open to see all that Spirit has laid out before you. And as you continue to breathe freely, feel the comfort that comes with being fully present in this moment. If it helps to have a visual to guide you, think of any source of nature. Perhaps a tree, whether it's a massive sequoia or a slender palm tree, how it is always grounded, rooted calmly into this earth, not dwelling on past storms that may have ravaged it, or the creatures that inhabit it, and not knowing the future weather predictions. It stays knowing that it will always be given its supply from source. It stands strong and free, knowing that whatever may come down the path will be okay. Or perhaps a stream whether it be still or thrashing around. The stream doesn't know about the current situation with the environment, the change in sea levels, yet it is still and allows the sunshine to shine on it just the same. Over the next few moments, use your breath to guide you into this present moment or a visual, and allow Spirit to open you up to whatever you are meant to receive in the silence. And now as we gently move our attention back to this moment, still feeling completely present in it, we know that when we put aside worry and fear of what's to be, that source will show up, that God will provide for us, that we are able to receive. And when we are present in each moment, we are able to have eyes and a heart to see and feel all the magic that is waiting for us. So let's take a deep breath together and release it. And so it is.
Power of now is always present, nowhere to be than where you are. Power of now flows oh so gracefully. goes oh so easily. Be willing to let go of everything you think you need to know. Oh, be strong enough to let go of everything you think you need to control. For everything goes away. Let everything wash away. The power of now. The power of now is ever flowing, connecting us all to the one. The power of now unfolds so peacefully. Be willing to let go of everything you think you need to know. Oh, be strong enough to let go of everything you think you need to control. For everything goes away. Let everything wash away. The power of the power of
It's Samantha Natalie. It's the music of Faith Rivera.
And certainly another wow is in place, in order. Well, I want to honor and celebrate your being present during this month of being present. We started out this month when I gave you a definition and talked about the idea of being present and presence. And then last week, we talked about becoming present and becoming that presence. And today we want to take a look at being present, being that presence. And we looked at this idea from two different perspectives, from the human side and from the spiritual side, and we'll do that again today. In the early 1960s was a very transformative and evolutionary time for particularly American culture. The hippie culture had come along, and we were getting into that sex, love, and rock and roll and drugs and whatever else went into that. And although I was a little bit young for all of that at the time, I had a friend who said, you know, from 1960 to 1968 is a blur. I don't remember a thing that happened during that time. And I blessed him and went on. But it brought about a change in the way we looked at things. Up until that time, previous to that time, We were to do what we were told to do. And I remember growing up in the Baptist church and went to church and read your daily Bible readings every day and brushed your teeth every night, got 8 hours of sleep and all that kind of stuff. And we did what we were told, what we were supposed to do. And then this culture came along and said, we're going to do what we want to do, no matter what. So that took off. But out of that period of disturbance and evolution, there came what was called the human potential movement, where we began to look at humankind in a different way. And some of the names from that time you'll probably recognize. William James, Viktor Frankl, Fritz Perls, Carl Rogers, Alan Watts, Werner Erhard, Gene Houston, Tony Robbins, Abraham Maslow, and then, of course, moving into today, all the human potential gurus that are out and about on the internet and everywhere else. But this idea of human potential development became very important to us. And Abraham Maslow was the one who coined the phrase self-actualization, that there was something more than just maintaining the status quo and being a human and getting up every day and going to bed every night and just letting things move along. We were being encouraged to step up and get engaged, get involved in that. So when we looked at becoming present, it was a matter of taking some action, doing some things, learning things, studying things, exposing yourself to different experiences and having adventures along the way and becoming enriched. And by doing all of that, we become actualized. We become more of what a human was supposed to be. And there's so many things in this world that will give us opportunity to do that, seeing things that are amazing. Bev and I are going, not this coming week, but the next week, up to Yellowstone and up to Big Sky and go to a spiritual retreat there. And we're so excited about all the things there that we've not seen before. I remember going to, and I'm just a little country boy from Mississippi, when I got the chance to go to Italy and go to Rome and see the works of Michelangelo and stand before the David. How many of you have seen a picture of the David? It does not do it justice. Let me assure you, the thing is 40 feet tall. Or, well, it seems that way anyway. But those things impact us. They make a difference when we have those kinds of experiences, new experiences, unusual experiences, to see things that not everybody gets to see. That develops our humanness, and we become more present, and we develop that presence that is within us. And all these people that we read about, that each one of them made some contributions. Gene Houston was one of the more modern ones that really added a lot to this idea of human potential and human development, human actualization. Now, as far as becoming human, we just talked about that, or becoming present. Then there's a matter of being present as a human. What does that mean? It means that we show up, but it also has something to do with the way we show up. We show up in a confident, powerful kind of way. That's the way of manifesting who we really are, of revealing our destiny and living out our destiny, of being able to show up in a profound kind of way in the world, to be present in the world. Now, let me mention to you 3 things that I pulled out of all the possibilities as demonstrations or manifestations of this sense of being present. And the first one is a sense of self. Have you ever met anyone who was just lost? They didn't know who they were. They didn't know what to do next. They didn't know what their past meant. They didn't know what the future held. They just kind of wandering around, blundering around through life, and not very happy, not very powerful in that way. But when we go through that process of becoming present and learning what presence is all about, there is a sense of self that emerges from that. When we've seen parts of the world, we look out and we say, this is where I fit in the world. And when we interact with other people, we can say, this is how I interact with others. This is how I fit in relationship with other people. So this sense of self, of who I am and what I'm about and what's before me and what I'm choosing to do, all of those things begin to come up as we practice this experience of being present in the world. There's also a sense of confidence. Once we have that sense of self and get an idea where we fit in the world and what we are to do, the fear goes away. What is it? The Course in Miracles, it says there are only 2 things, fear and love. Am I getting that right? I've been told that anyway. So when we're able to do away with the fear and we are confident about life, it makes a great difference, and it opens even more doors for us to continue to expand. Because when we become present in the world, we become more present. And that allows us to become more present, and that allows us to become more present. So we keep expanding ourselves into the world, and we do so with confidence, without fear, without wondering. And then that takes us to a place when we begin to get engaged with the rest of the world, and we become aware of the rest of the world and how I fit into it. There's a sense of compassion that arises within me. And we begin to look at others and realize that it's not just all about me, but there are other people involved in this whole process. In my experience, in my process, there are other people involved. So we begin to have compassion for those who are on the same journey as we are, the people who are having the same challenge as we are. Instead of just pushing everybody away and trying to do a solo trip, we find that this trip is about an orchestra. It is about working together, and we have that compassion that we share with one another. So as a human, we begin to be more and more present in the world. And we also said that there are two different perspectives that we hold here, not only human, but also the matter of being spiritual. Becoming spiritually present means listening. I gave you the story last week about Lazarus being raised from the dead as a story. Again, I caution you, don't get hung up into whether it's literally true or not. That's not important. It's the story and what it tells us that is important. And what we found happening there was Jesus came because his friend Lazarus had died. And before anything happened, Jesus prayed and said, "Thank you, Father, for what you've already done. You've already heard my prayer. It's complete." And when they rolled back the stone, the scriptures that we usually have say that Jesus said, "Come forth to Lazarus." But we realized from a deep study, and I shared with you last week, it wasn't an order, it wasn't a verb, come forth. It was two adverbs. Jesus said what? Who remembers? Here now. It was an affirmation. Just as Jesus spoke an affirmation as he prayed, my prayer is already heard. When he spoke to Lazarus, he said, "Here now." He didn't say, "Come out of the tomb." Jesus said, "You're already out of the tomb. Here now." He didn't say, "Raised from the dead." He said, "Here now." He didn't say, "Come into the light." He said, "Here now." It was an affirmation about life, and that is what brought Lazarus out of the tomb. And for us, as we grow, as we develop as spiritual beings, as we have that experience of being present, that happens for us and through us as we allow it to happen. When we're developing our humanness, there's a lot of deliberate action that we take. We go here, we go there, we study this, we study that. We meet this person, we meet another person. So our doing, it's our responsibility. But when we begin to develop our spiritual nature, it's much more about allowing. It's much more about hearing those affirmations that Spirit is speaking to us. Not go and do this, but here now. Jesus never said, "You will become the light of the world." I challenge you to find that in Scripture. What did Jesus say? You are the light of the world. He didn't say you are going to become one with the Father. He said you are one with the Father right now. It was an affirmation. So as we develop our spiritual nature, it's a matter of being present to listen. And I say this to you all the time, and I will continue to do so. You hear a lot about prayer and meditation around here. Over and over, prayer, meditation, meditation, meditation. Why do we do that? Because when you're praying and meditating, you're being still and you're listening. You're not doing anything. You're in a place where you can hear those affirmations that are spoken to you by Spirit here now. It's not trying to be something that you're not. It is opening up and allowing what you are to express. It's being still and allowing the truth to be manifested in and through you. That's what the spiritual component of being is really all about. So we bring ourselves to that place of being spiritually present, and things get manifested, things happen. Some of the things that are demonstrations of our being spiritually present, one is that there's a sense of self. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? But there's a sense of your spiritual self. Who are you in the context of the great cosmos of all that is? Who are you in terms of eternity? Who are you in terms of the Creator, God, Spirit, whatever name you want to place on that divine source of things? If you have a sense of self, of where you belong in that, what does that mean to you? How do you fit? How do you live it out from that place? That's important for us. And that gets shown forth as we deliberately and intentionally live being present. There's also a sense of confidence that comes forth when we're being present spiritually. I've shared with you before that I firmly believe that you cannot fail. You cannot reach goals that you set for yourself, but it's still not a failure, because I believe that we're here to provide experience for the Creator. I believe that we are here to be lived through by Source. And as long as that's happening, nothing we can do can be failure. It may be painful. It may be unpleasant. It may be something you swear not to ever do again, but it is not a failure. So if we go into something knowing you can't fail, how confident are you? Absolutely. If you were invited to run a race with a bunch of other people and you realized you were the slowest one of the bunch, you wouldn't be real excited about doing that. You wouldn't enter into that with a lot of confidence. But if you knew, no matter what the results of the race really were, you could not fail, let's hit the track. I don't mind watching everybody ahead of me. I'm going to do what is mine to do, and I cannot fail. That confidence comes forward when we make decisions. That confidence comes up when we look at ourselves. That confidence comes up when we interact with other people. So this spiritual truth is manifested in and through us. And then there's that feeling, that experience of compassion and caring about others. When I really get that sense of spiritual beingness and belonging, I realize it's not just me, it's all of us. And I realize it's truly connected. We are truly connected. If one of us is lost, all of us are lost. If one of us has been mistreated, all of us have been mistreated. If I hurt myself, I hurt you. If I hurt you, I hurt myself. And we get that sense of compassion. The word compassion means to feel with. So we begin to identify with the rest of the world and we realize I'm not alone. I'm not in this thing all by myself. We are doing this together. We are moving through this spiritual life together. So we are spiritually present. Now, it helps us to look at things in contrast and compare things one to another. If any of you have ever made some plans to reupholster some furniture, you just go in and say, I'll do it any color, it doesn't matter. No, you have a book with 9,000 different colors in it, and you go through and well, the curtains are this color, so I won't, no, that color won't work, let's do this one. So that, like most of life, ends up being a comparison of things from one to the other. So it helps us to say, let's look at this whole experience of presence from a human standpoint, and let's look at it from a spiritual standpoint, realizing that's kind of an artificial thing that we've created there, but it helps us humanly, with our minds, to grasp what's going on in front of us. So we have done that with presence. We've looked at it from a human perspective. We've looked at it from a spiritual perspective. And now that we've done that separately, let's see if we can bring them back together again. Because you are one. Spirit uses your body as a vehicle to travel around. You don't ever go anywhere without your body. Your spirit doesn't go anywhere without your body. Your body doesn't go anywhere without spirit. So ultimately, they are really one. So let's look at that for a moment. If we are present, we are present. And if we are able to exude that presence with other people, we're around other people and they look at you and they say, wow, you certainly are confident. How can you be so confident? And you can smile and be present. And they can say, you seem to really care about people. How can you care so much? And you can smile and be present. And they can say, you seem to know who you are, and you can smile and be present. In every situation, whether it's a human situation or a spiritual situation, we can be present and allow that truth of who we are to flow through us, that inexplicable truth. That's one of the things about the spiritual presence, is that it's really hard to describe it. It's hard to put it in a box. It's hard to categorize it. It's hard to put a label on it. But it's there, and you just know that presence. And that's what we can be in our world. As we show up physically, we show up spiritually through that mysterious presence that says, here I am, and here we are. I want to close with a passage of Scripture that is probably very familiar to you. It comes from the book of Ecclesiastes. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. And in that spirit, I would continue that same thought and say to you that there is a time for being humanly present. There is a time for being spiritually present. And there's always a time for pure presence. And that's who you are. So I challenge you this week, as you go out into the world, being present. Allow that awareness to stay with you. And to simply say, I'm being present. I'm being present, and watch what comes from that. When you recognize you're being present, there's that sense of self that emerges. When you recognize you're being present, there's that sense of confidence that emerges. When you realize I am being present, there's that sense of compassion. And when we turn to our spiritual nature and say, I am presence, we begin to live in affirmation. Not something that's going to be or going to happen, but something that is. I am who I am. I'm not going to become somebody else. I am the expressing of God now, not at some future time. I am one with Spirit and all that is now, not at some future time. So go from this place and be present. Go from this place and be presence everywhere, all the time. God bless you.
Now we're present to this offering time where we are so grateful for all your giving. We thank you so much for the way you give. We have a reminder that if you shop at all through Amazon, when you turn your computer on or pull out your phone, go to smile.amazon.com. Your account will recognize that you were there. There's nothing difficult to do. You just sign up as Unity Church of Pompano Beach as your charity, and from then out, a small percentage of your purchases get sent here automatically. So a lot of us are doing that, and it's making a difference. We're getting a few dollars every month. So if you're a shopper online, that's one way you can give. We thank you for your gifts of time and service, and certainly your monetary gifts. So let's hold our gift in our hand today and have this prayer together. With a grateful heart, I acknowledge God as source of all that is. Today, I let go of any concern of lack and allow good to unfold in my life. Good is mine, good and more good is mine, and ever increasing good is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it, I experience it, I freely give it, and it multiplies itself around me, and so it is. Amen.
So convenient to believe we are running out of time and out of mind. The end is coming. Hurry here and faster there. The level rising. Not enough for us to share. And
We are so gifted with our talented musicians. Their arrangements of the music every week is just incredible what they do with it.
That's not how Faith Rivera does that song.
They added a little cha-cha to that Latin style. Thank you so much. Pete, Orlando, it's especially fun to have you making the vocals all that much better. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, James. And now if you'll take a turn by praying with one of our chaplains, it'll really complete a wonderful start to the week and the end of this day. So have time to pray with one of our chaplains. We'll see you new members at the fellowship table and then going on in here for membership orientation. So let's all stand now and bless each other as we go on our way today. Together, the light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The presence of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
There be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the home of God. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it
Goes back to the head.